Good morning, Year 10. This is now week 9 of home learning. So today I'm going to be teaching you and showing you how to make your own interesting compositions of natural forms, items and objects, and I'm going to show you how to take your own photos effectively using your mobile phone, or if you've got a camera at home then you can use that as well, whichever you're able to do. But I'm going to show you using a mobile phone. All of the ones that I've taken in today's lesson have been done on my iPhone, but you can use any phone with a camera. So you need to watch the video, obviously you're watching it now. Before we move on, I just wanted to recap and just say make sure you do watch the videos that I showed you last week that I put the links to here about creating a great sketchbook. You know, if you can keep watching 1 or 2 of these each week and have a little bit of researching on your own using the internet, you know, the more you look at them, the more you're going to take inspiration and ideas to then put forward for your own sketchbook. And it's going to really help you think about this method that you need to make sure that you're achieving, and this style of working in a sketchbook and being really thorough with your work. So the objective of today's lesson is you're going to develop your ideas further by carrying out some recording of ideas using photography to support this. So you're going to understand how to successfully photograph using your phone and demonstrate by obviously taking your own photos. You're also going to be able to understand a new technique, and this technique will be using a toilet roll as a viewfinder. And the method and purpose of this I will explain shortly. And you're going to be able to show that method in your photos. You're also going to be able to carry out some further tests with different items to again use them as viewfinders. And then you're going to ultimately create a series of pages of your own photos today. So I want around 2 to 4 pages of just general natural forms photos, which again I will talk through in a moment. And then I've put 1 to 2 pages using this viewfinder challenge. Finally, if you're aiming for the top grade, you should be, aiming for another 1 to 2 pages on top of that of experiments using different items, such as a mirror or a colander, etc. So I'm looking for around 4 to 8 pages worth of photographs, and that is pages, not just single photographs. So 4 to 8 pages of photographs. It doesn't take long to take a quick snap, quick photo. The thing that will take longest is the composition, layout, and obviously choosing your subject, which is what I'm going to talk about further now. So, what makes a great photograph? Well, I've put 10 steps to taking a good photograph on here for you. So I've put clear your area. Make sure there's nothing surrounding the items that you're photographing. And I'm going to show you a demonstration as I go through these of that. So, first of all, I'm going to take some photos of some just plants that I've got in my house. When I say clear my area, I mean make sure there's nothing in the way obstructing the area. There shouldn't be anything around the photos. The other thing is, you can see in the back of my photos, there's some storage units and things. That is not going to make a good photo. That is going to distract the focus of the flowers. So I'm just going to move my items into a position so there's nothing behind them. So I'm just going to move them out the way. I'm going to place them near the window and just keep moving things around until you're happy. Now they're in a slightly better position. I might have to do a bit more tweaking. A slightly better position, and there's less in the background. It might be that you struggle with this. I always think it's easiest to do it on the floor or outside if you can. Or you could go from above. I think going from above is good because then you don't see anything in the background behind it. You just see things from this angle. So the next rule is make sure you wipe your camera lens. So as you can see, my screen's really dirty. I have wiped it, but that's not my camera, but it is a type of screen, and that's because I've damaged it. But please make sure with a cloth or your jumper or something, wash your hands first. Have clean hands so you don't get fingerprints on it. Just wipe your screen, your camera lens, whether it's the front camera or the back camera. Just give it a clean, otherwise your photo will be blurry. The next one then. So make sure your camera is focused. Lots of different phones have different ways of focusing. If we look at this photo on here, you can see that you usually press the middle of the iPhone and it will focus on that specific area. it's got a sensor on an iPhone. So if you press that bit of the screen, it would focus on that bit. If you press the middle, it will focus on the middle, but then the photo as a whole. So test out the focus. You know, like I said, it depends on what phone you've got, but just make sure that you are focusing it on the item. It might take a minute to focus. Well, not a minute, but it might take a couple of seconds to focus. So that was number 4, focus on your camera. Think about subject and composition. So this is the biggest, one of the most important rules. This is what will help you not take just a generic, boring photo. So I'm going to talk through some photos and go back to this one in a little minute. But think about what you were photographing. What is the purpose of the photograph? Why have you chosen that item? Yeah, or have you just walked to the park and thought, oh, I'm just going to take a picture of that random leaf? What is it adding to your project? What is the value? You know, does it link into some artists you've already looked at? Maybe it does. If it doesn't, then you should question it. Maybe it's got, you know, a leaf, but it's got really interesting colours or textures, and you feel like that would be added value to your work. But please think about it. Your work is going to be made more interesting if you think about the subject and composition. So the next one, think about whether your photo should be done in landscape, so photographed in landscape, or in portrait. So landscape is obviously this way round, portrait is obviously this way round. If you're if you're photographing something tall, like a plant, like this, it might look better in portrait because it's tall. It fits the line of the focus of the image. If you're just focusing on a detail, it might be that you want it to be landscape. If you want to get more of the image in, but closer up, or it might just be one plant. This plant goes out quite wide. The leaves on it go horizontally rather than vertically. So it might be that you would turn your camera that way. But that is something you need to think about. So things that are tall, often shot in portrait. Things that are wide would be shot in landscape, like that. So that's a really important point to consider as well. And that will help minimise items in the background as well. So, additionally, once you've taken your photo, make sure that you just leave the button, leave the photo, and just keep your camera still just for a couple of seconds, because sometimes it can blur if your phone's full of memory or it's lagging behind because it's old or a bit slow. You know, focus it there, hold it there for a moment, because it might need to just focus properly after it's been taken. Otherwise, it might blur. So take several different angles of your one setup before moving on. Again, taking lots of different photos can generate lots of good ideas. You might initially think, oh, I like doing it from that angle, but then actually, once you've taken all the photos from different angles, you might go back and say, oh, actually, that was more successful. So from above, below, left side, right side, horizontally, diagonally, that is going to give you the best chance of having an interesting photo and composition. So it might be that you go from above, like I said at the beginning, because you might be able to see some of the details. For example, on these flowers here, leaves even, so you can see the colours really well if you zoom in. And you might not get the quality of the photo if you don't zoom in. So don't just zoom in with the zoom button, zoom in with your actual camera like this. It might be, you know, from an angle, you might see like this bit is really interesting here. You've got the really delicate interior of the flower and the leaves. From the other side, again, it creates a whole new image. So really play around with that. Again, it might be that you want different images. Think about the composition. Don't forget, items that are smaller should go in the foreground, and items that are taller should go behind in the background. So think about this idea of perspective and composition. Okay, we're nearly at the end of the list. So I've said about different angles. I've said about zooming in and zooming out, not just with the actual lens on the camera, but with the camera itself, like this. Number 10, try some different editing apps. Now, I'm going to talk about that a little bit more later on in the week because I wanted to just focus on getting fab photos today. But if you know any good free apps you can download, please, by all means, get on with that today. But I will talk through that a bit more on Thursday. Okay, I'm going to show you some photos that I've taken since lockdown. So during my lockdown, every week I've been out on lots and lots of walks after I've done my work for the day, and I've taken a series of photos. This is just something that I do anyway. I like to edit and manipulate them and create art from them for my own personal preference. But also I thought this was really handy to show you what I mean by taking, you know, several pages of photos, not just one photo. So I've built mine up using different colour palettes. This is quite a purple and yellow theme. You might want to do that. Also, I've then chosen a pink and green kind of zesty feel. And then I've got a more bright theme. And then I focus more on different natural forms items, not necessarily flowers. You don't have to do flowers. You don't have to do things that are floral. They were just things I happened to pick up. It could be, you know, exterior, could be things like architectural design, gates, ponds, sculptures. I feel like this one's quite similar to Peter Randall Page's ideas. It could be things that have gone rusty. It could be shells, you know, if you've got a beach or you've gone to the beach with your family for the day on the weekend or something. It could be anything, but you need to take your own photos that are inspired by natural forms items. So you can have a look at these in more detail afterwards, but this is the kind of thing I'm looking for. A really good free app that you can download on your phone to display photos is called PicStitch, PicStitch, I think, or there might not be a T, PicStitch. No, it is, yeah, so PicStitch, PicStitch. I've used that app for years, and it's really good for montaging photos, putting photos together so I can see them all in one go. Obviously, you might not have a printer, so we're not going to print them off straight away, but we are going to be working from them over the next few weeks, so I do need to see that you've done them and you've thought about compositions. So again, I've used similar photos. This was the same flower, and I did lots of different angles of it because it had incredible quality, and I really wanted to capture this because I'd like to take elements of this to draw in my work afterwards. And I really liked also the kind of creased effect and the cut effect on the leaves here, so I chose that kind of zoomed out angle. And then again, the lighting was really nice when I took it from this angle. So think about the light and the depth and dark when you're taking your photos. Also, it might be that, you know, it's got a natural forms element, but you can bind something else in. So my shoes match with this kind of almost, it kind of was an extension of the flower with my white jeans that I was wearing. And it kind of fitted colour-wise quite nicely. Again, thought about the composition. I really like the idea of taking this slightly from above, where you could see the nice, soft, different shades of green leaves and the really intense pink on top. And I focused my camera on sharpening this element. So this was all done on my iPhone. Again, I zoomed in on some of these because I really liked the details. And these were all just completely different angles. And if you want, you can also take a montage. Okay, final step now. Last couple of things. I would also, as well as taking normal photos, like you to have a go at using some different items as a viewfinder for your photos also. So these photos were from some students in another school. A friend of mine works in another school, and they have a photography course there. And they took these photos by looking through a toilet roll like this. So I want you to have a go at taking your own photos, looking through the end of a toilet roll like so. So you just put the camera at the end, and then you can always crop it out afterwards, and you're going to take some photos. This is a really great way to capture detail and focus on a specific detail on the flower. And this is one thing I've been nagging loads of you about, is there's not enough detail in your drawings. So I'm really hoping this task this week is going to help you think more about the detail of your natural form items to boost the quality and precision of your drawings. So it's just a toilet roll tube, really simple. You know, you could always put two together if you want a really long shot. You know, you could cut it, try it. I want you to test and try it, but it's so simple. So I would also like you to produce a few pages of different natural forms items with a toilet roll. You know, just take it out in the park with you if you can, or in the garden, wherever. Final one then. Oh, well, not quite. What makes a good toilet roll tube photo? Careful composition, nothing obstructing the background, like I've said previously. You know, a clear and sharp image, zoom in, yeah? Nothing in the background. This is a bad example. So obviously the composition is not very well considered because there's stuff obstructing the background. You can see my basket in the background. It's not clear or sharp. I can't really make out the image properly. And there's a really bright light shining on it. So it makes it really hard to see. So it's not so successful. Obviously this is a really quick run through. Because I want you to just get on with it. So I want lots of different photos, zoomed in, zoomed out, several pages of just organic forms that you choose to take photos of. Then I want you to do some toilet roll ones. Again, it could be of the same types of photos, but looking through the lens, zoomed in. Finally, if you are aiming for the top grade in art, I want to see further experiments. A couple more pages, really pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. So you can see these items have been done in all different ways, these photos. So you've got one using a blind reflecting the light through someone's glasses. This was taken with a reflection. This is using a plastic sieve, and I quite like that one because it's like a shell-like aspect. Through a glass jar, you could use a mirror. Again, the mirror's been used there, or a magnifying glass in the park reflecting the light. So I've run through that really quick because I don't want to give you too much, you know, prescribed information because I want to see what you produce. It might be that you've got at home like a tray or a sieve like this. You could take some through that. It's just a normal kitchen tray. A colander to take some photos, and again, you can have a go at reflecting the light. Zooming in really carefully at some elements, some aspects. See what you can create. But again, you're going to have time to play with this. Again, I've got a glass kind of bowl that you could use to create some different reflections and ideas. So I want you to have a real go at this and see what you can produce today. Hopefully that is clear. So this should be almost 3 sets of photos in terms of lots of photos like this. There's a couple of pages taking your own photos. Toilet roll tube photos, again, a couple of pages worth, not just one photo. And then some different photos, really pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, testing different items. I've just thought as well, this is a good one. My chair in my kitchen has got a really interesting pattern on it that's see-through. So hopefully that is clear. There's quite a few things for you to get on with today. I would recommend you spend a couple of hours on this. Take lots and lots of photos. Use the guidelines to help you. Hopefully that is clear, and I will catch up with you later on in the week. Please make sure you get these submitted by 4 p.m. today. Take care. Bye.